Today we have my broker, Milton here. Milton, tell us a little bit more about yourself. How long have you been in real estate?
So I've been selling real estate for the better part of 20 years. I've been in real estate my entire life. I was raised in real estate. My father got into real estate back in the 80s. He owned a mortgage company at one point. My mom was the broker of record. So it's something that I have always been immersed in. I was lucky to be trained by my folks who were kind of the old guard. They trained me on how to do things properly. And so it's second nature now to do this business.
I know that you've been doing a handful of listings during the pandemic, and more people are starting to think about, next steps on their home. We know that people's idea of home has changed because of the pandemic. So what are some tips that we can provide sellers who need to sell, just so that they don't make any mistakes, especially down here in South Florida?
Well, currently we're in a seller's market because people have had to move. There's a new dynamic with this whole work from home. So people need a place to work or to have their kids go to school. And so you have a lot of folks moving into something a little bit bigger, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, a house. And I think that for sellers, you need to make sure that you're getting the most you possibly can, because you're going to be out there looking for another home, and it's also going to be very competitive and at the top of the market. So I think what you need to do is make sure your house is neat and clean and not cluttered. Landscaping is nice, paint is fresh, so you can price it well.
Oh, that's great. So making sure that your house is clean, that's definitely the first step, making sure it's presentable.
And available. You have to be able to have your property ready to show to a prospective buyer at any given moment. Obviously, you want to have some kind of lead. You don't want to just be surprised. A lot of people have a life, kids, etc. But make your house accessible. Be available on weekends. Be available to show it during the day, during the week. Have an agent that will open the door and greet people there. Show the property properly, not just like, this is the kitchen, this is the dining room, this is the living room. No, I would be like, these are the original hardwood floors from 1950, old Florida pine. The house was tented for termites throughout every 5 or 10 years, so it's nice and clean. The roof structure is intact. The brand new roof, new appliances, new electrical, plumbing, the details, the nitty gritty. I always say go over the 4-point. It's going to be roof, impact windows or doors, right? You're going to do plumbing, electrical, air conditioning. So when I look, any home that you look at, especially if it's in a greater part of Miami, it was built in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and there's a lot of details that go into that. And the insurance companies, for example, are going to want to know,
Right.
have any of these things been updated? I've seen roofs that have been 50 years old, well-maintained, flat tile roof. The insurance company may not give you a discount for it, but if you've maintained it well, it's in solid condition, leak free, I think you're good. But obviously a new roof is better. Electrical is really important because back in the day they used to have cloth sheath wiring. It's crazy, but they would wrap the electrical wires in cotton. And so if you still have that's 60 or 70 years old now in your house, it's a fire hazard. So you want to make sure all those little details have been taken into consideration. And if I were to sell my house, I'd make sure to get an inspection before listing it. Go over that 4-point. Make sure you've dotted all your I's, crossed all your T's, so you don't have any surprises, and you can sell your house at the highest in the market because it's turnkey.
Right. So that's almost the idea of hiring an inspector to come take a look at your house before you list it, just so you know what's up, what needs to be done, and what needs
Correct.
to be addressed. What's another tip that you can give maybe somebody who's thinking about selling their house down here in Miami? What's something else local to our market that home sellers need to be aware of down here?
Well, first off, declutter your homes, because a lot of people have a lot of furniture and a lot of people and a lot of stuff. They have a lifetime of stuff in their home. But when you're selling your home, the buyer needs to be able to come in and feel comfortable. So first, the seller shouldn't be home. Second, the house shouldn't be cluttered, because it doesn't matter how big the house is. If you've got 3 or 4 couches in the living room and 2 dining room sets, it doesn't feel open. It doesn't feel, inviting. And so you need to make sure that the home is going to be somewhere that lends the buyer's imagination to mentally move in when they are in the home.
So removing maybe like personal photos, or how far does a seller need to take it?
You don't necessarily have to remove all personal photos, but if you've got 100 personal photos and baby pictures all over the place, you probably want to take some of those down, not only for your own personal privacy, but that so the buyer, again, can make it their own. They can mentally move in, They can see this room as the son's room or the daughter's room rather than little Bobby with 1,000 pictures everywhere and that's his room. You want to make it inviting and you want to make it somewhat neutral palette so that a buyer can come in and say, okay, well, I like this style, or I would change this or I would change that, rather than I had to get out of there because it just couldn't see straight in that place. Energy is important, so unclutter and clean up and depersonalize it a little bit.
I know a concern on a lot of sellers' mind is they're hearing that inventory is super low, so their next home might not be available, so they kind of feel like they need to wait because there's nothing going to be on the market. What are some strategies that you've been using with your home sellers who also need to move as well?
Well, we can start looking for a home before they get their house posted on the market, so we have an idea of what they're looking for and what's out there. They may also want to consider some new construction or condos. There's plenty of condos and a lot of great options. So it really depends on what they want. But say, for example, you have somebody that wants to move up from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom or a 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. Well, first look in the neighborhood that they want to be in, their specific area they want to move to, or if they want to stay within the area, and see what the inventory is for the houses that they want. Because even though, as much as I hate saying it as a realtor, they may not have what they want, and then maybe they want to do an addition on their home. Maybe they want to upgrade their homes. And those are, an honest realtor will tell you, it may not make sense for you to sell. Oftentimes it does, but it depends. Because if you have the room and if you have the space and you can add that extra bedroom that you wanted, that may be less expensive than going out and buying another property if the inventory isn't there. Though I will say that we do have inventory and there are a lot of properties out there. They're just going to be potentially ones that you're going to have to kind of make your own. And what I like to tell every buyer, whether they're a seasoned buyer or a first-time home buyer, every home that you look at, every home that you buy, you're going to have to do something to it. You're going to have to make it your own. You're going to have to personalize it. So even though you walk in and it's not absolutely what you want, well, you can paint that. You can change this. You can change that. And you're going to anyway. Even people that pay top market for a turnkey flip or new construction end up adding something and doing something because as you move in and as you make it your own, you're going to customize it. Right. And so be open to that. That's what I would say. To any seller, to any buyer, be open to making the home your own over the first couple of years that you've moved into it.
Yeah, no, I think it's important because even new construction, right? You think new, I'm going to pick out everything. I'm sure that you have buyers who invite you over and they start to nitpick every little single thing that the developer did.
Yeah.
I see it in new construction, like at Brickell, Flatiron, they still pick out every little nitpick.
Well, the good thing with the new construction is that you have that warranty and they give you that ability to go in there with a little bit of painter's tape and take every little nook and cranny, this scratch, that scratch, this is off center, etc. And they'll fix it before closing. You can do that with new construction. You can't do that with a resale, at least not in this market, not in this hot market. As is, where it is, the way you're taking it. And again, if you're not buying a new home, be prepared to make some adjustments. If you are buying a new home, you can nitpick, but you still may not get everything you want because you have to understand what you want and what is available or what you can afford. They may not all intersect.
So Milton, on the sellers that you've been working with and the listing appointments that you've gone on, what do you see the number one mistake potential sellers making?
I would say overpricing their home because you want to price your home accurately for the market. If you overprice it, let's see what happens. Well, nothing will happen. And the house will then sit on the market for 90 days, 6 months. I've seen some a year, 2, and 3 years. What's the point? Were you really looking to sell or were you really just looking to create an MLS history, which now makes you seem like you're not serious or there may be something wrong with your home? So if you're not priced right to start and it lingers, a lot of people will pass it. Or you have other buyers, investors that look for homes that are on the market for more than 90 days to 6 months. Then you're going to get low-ball offers. You're going to get offers with seller contributions, closing costs, credits, this and that, because either you're desperate or you're not serious. So price it right the first time. Price it for the market, and you will get potentially multiple offers, especially in a market like this. And again, so price it correctly. You can give it a little bit of wiggle, right? So if your neighbor sold for $500,000 and you're slightly bigger, you can charge more. But if you're slightly smaller and you go for $500,000, it's not going to appraise. You're not going to get the comps. You're going to potentially waste a lot of time because if 95, 99%, most buyers are financing, they also have to then get an appraisal. So even if you price it high and in a hot market with low inventory and you get a lot of offers, feels good, right? But if a bank is going to be financing that purchase, then it has to appraise. And if it doesn't appraise, you could potentially waste not only the time on the market, but then the 2 to 3 to 4 weeks before you get that appraisal, and then they break your heart, and then you decide, well, I'm not going to continue, we're going to cancel this, we're going to put it back on the market and try again, so we can do this loop for 90 days, every 90 days, 6 months, a year, and people wonder, is there a problem with the home, or is the seller just unreasonable? So all those things go into play, and if you price it right, you don't have those issues, and you move on to the next property, you move on to the home that you want to buy, in which you would want the same courtesy as well. You want to buy a house that's priced correctly.
What do you see buyers needing to do to enter the market and to really be prepared, because there are bidding wars out there, there is low inventory?
Yeah.
How do buyers really get set up for success?
First things first, show me the money, get your bank approval, speak to your banker, have them run your credit, check your tax returns, get the full financial picture of what you would qualify for a mortgage, so you're not basically going out there blind and handcuffed with no ammunition. Basically, you are a sheep to the slaughter. You need to have your proper ammunition when you're going out there into the field to buy a home. You need to be able to compete. And you can't do that if you don't know what you can qualify for. Or you think you know what you can qualify for, and then you find out that you do not qualify for it. Not only would you potentially lose out on a lot of properties because you're not ready to pull the trigger. Like, you can't go look at a house and say, oh, I love it, and I'll make an offer, but let me call my banker, and now we're waiting 2, 3, and 4, and 5 days to get the documents necessary to make the offer. Meanwhile, they've taken a higher offer. They've taken another offer. They've taken somebody that was prepared. So you got to be prepared. And do a little bit of research before you get out there. What kind of property? What kind of mortgage payment can I qualify for? Keeping in mind that if it's condo or a townhouse that has an association, that association payment is factored into the total payment that you qualify for the mortgage. So when I have people that contact me and they're like, well, I've got a $400,000 approval letter. First thing I ask them is, did the banker approve you for a single family home or a condo? What were the details? I need to know more. This letter that says I approve for this much, I need more. I need to speak to your banker. And an FHA loan, VA loan, conventional loan, what kind of loan? That's going to also determine what kind of property, because not all properties qualify for all loans. And then, has the taxes and the insurance and the maintenance fee been calculated into that payment? So, for example, a $400,000 FHA, the down payment 3.5%, the payment, it will be $2,300, $2,400. But if we were looking at a condominium that has a $500 maintenance fee, then we take that $500 off of that $2,400 payment. Now we're talking about a $1,900 payment. So now that's not a $400,000 purchase. That's a $340,000 purchase. And I'm just getting fast out calculations. So that's going to change it dramatically. Right. What can you get?
No, I see it, because buyers who go to the online pre-approval websites,
yeah,
or the pre-qualification, and they kind of just plug it in, they really don't understand the market down here, being that it's so condo heavy, especially right. for these first-time buyers, because it's a more affordable price point for them to get into. So somebody who is interested in selling, they're listening to the podcast, they are getting their house ready, really considering putting it on the market. What are next steps? What do you recommend they should do?
Well, first call me. Let me take a preview of the home. Let me see if there's anything that we need to potentially fix before we get it on the market, because first impression's everything. I have a client, actually. He is overseas from South America. He bought a property here in 2013, 2014. It's been rented for the past couple of years. He's never been into the property. He doesn't really even know the condition of the property. Well, I go there, and even though the photos he sent me, it looks fantastic from when he bought it, it was a disaster. The tenant was very nice, not so neat. There was a roof leak, not that he didn't know of. He took care of it, but when you live on a golf course, you're going to have a lot of cracked tiles, and if you don't go up there and check, now you get a roof leak, now there's a bigger issue, now you potentially have mold. So what I did first is we moved the tenant out. I brought in some contractors. We did a once-over, like the pre-inspection. I had them up on the roof. I had them fixing every loose tile, resetting them, putting new mortar, replacing any cracked tile, pressure cleaning it, pressure cleaning the outside, fixing everything. Well, long story short, we put it on the market. We had multiple offers. We sold it above asking price, and we passed our inspection. I knew we were going to pass our inspection. I didn't have to worry about passing the inspection because I personally previewed it, inspected it, fixed it, listed it. That is how you should do it. So you don't have a surprise. Like, had I not done that for him, been his eyes and ears, because he's only coming for closing, he wasn't here, and he saw the house once, right? Had I not done that, we would have been surprised with a roof leak, cracked tiles. There was like 60 cracked tiles.
Oh, wow.
Living on a golf course is a double-edged sword. It would have been a bigger issue. Would have had deals fall apart. Buyers asked for credits, which would have cost more than actually fixing the property. It cost us $3,500 to get that property ready for closing. That is nothing compared to the credit or the discount that a buyer would want for a roof that's questionable.
Yeah, 5, 10, 15K.
At least 15 to 20, because it's a barrel tile roof. So if the inspector saw the roof with all those cracked tiles and it's an original roof in bad condition, he'd say, oh, this roof has to be replaced. Now we're talking $20,000, $30,000. But there was nothing wrong with that roof. We took care of it. It looks better than any other roof in the neighborhood. And the inspectors actually said, is this a new roof? Because it looks better than all the other ones. And it's because we were proactive. So I say, for a seller, be proactive. If you were going to sell a car, you take it to the mechanic before you get somebody to test drive. It's the same thing with a house. You want, as much as it's your house and you love your home and, no, but it's my house. Great. It's still a house. Let's check it out. Let's get it ready. And then let's put our best foot forward the first time. You don't want to have to take it off the market to make repairs, because then people start asking questions. Well, why? What was wrong with it? First impressions are everything.
Yeah, so just doing a little bit of preparation on the front end before you list it, before it goes on MLS.
I have people tell me all the time, I don't want to have to do anything to my house. You sell it the way it is. I can do that too, for less. You're not going to get top dollar. So if you want to sell it in the condition that it is, and somebody else to deal with the roof, and somebody else to deal with the broken this or that, or the original pipes, or the holes in the walls, yeah, I got buyers for that. No problem. But you're not going to get top dollar. You want to maximize, get top dollar, put a good product out there.
So how can people who want to list their house and meet with you, how can they reach out to you?
How can clients reach me? Well, they can reach me anytime, any day at my personal cell phone number, 954-629-9952, or go to miltonassociates.com, and we have a portal there where you can register. You can actually put in your address, and I'll send you a valuation report of the home, of the neighborhood, how much equity you might have, because I think we can determine when you purchased it, put it in when you purchased it, how much you purchased, what it would be available, and what it'd be worth today. And so I can give you an idea. Without even looking at it, I can give you an idea of what the house is worth. But the best way is really a personal visit for me to really take a look at the house and not only just look at the data, but really look at the house itself, because there could be things about the house that make it more valuable. There could be other things that make it less valuable. Like, for example, I have a lot of people that convert their garage into a family room.
Right.
So the added square footage does have a value, but you removed a garage, which also has a value, and sometimes a higher value than that square footage that you would have added. So those are little things that every house will be different. If you did the new roof and the new electrical and the new plumbing and the new impact windows and doors, well, then it's going to be worth more than another home that isn't that, even if they're identical. But those things have value. So a personal visit is always best, but I can give you an idea, a ballpark figure.
So I know another area where sellers can go wrong is when they hire the wrong agent to represent the property. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so everybody has a family member or friend that has a real estate license. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too easy to become a realtor. People usually go from selling cars or selling shoes or working in a restaurant. I have nothing wrong with any of that, but then they end up selling houses. Be careful who you hire. You want to hire somebody that has experience, somebody that knows their market and knows what they're talking about. If your sister lives in Kendall and she's a realtor, but you live in Brickell and you want to sell your property, you probably want to list it with somebody that knows Brickell. She would probably do very well in Kendall. But these are two different things. Single family home, condo, Kendall, Brickell. So somebody that knows the area and that knows the property and that has a proven track record, has other sales under their belt, not knocking new agents, because I was new once too. But a house is typically one of the largest investments you'll make in your life. And if you're selling this or buying this, you want to put your trust in a professional that knows what they're doing and knows what they're talking about. So don't hire the wrong agent. Discount agents will give you discount service. Everything is a la carte or everything is extra. Who's going to really be looking out for the best interests of the seller, is going to be the listing agent and not somebody that's just a la carte services like some companies that I cannot name. You want to make sure that this person is going to be marketing the property. I've been doing videos on my listings and virtual tours before COVID was even a thing.
Right.
If you want to be able to show your house, to showcase your house properly, today with the internet, you want to have accessibility so a buyer can, like I said, mentally move in on the internet so that when they see the property in person, now it's a second visit. It's not a surprise. It's not a first visit. I've had agents show up at my listings, even though I've had videos and virtual tours and everything, and they walk in and they go, oh, this view is not completely unobstructed. I did not misrepresent that. Did you not look at the listing? Did your clients not look at the listing? So I had it available. It's going to happen anyway, but having it available is important. And so hire the right agent that's going to showcase your property properly to maximize your return.